Again, this is WCDB Albany, and I am here with our incredible guest, Lil Kyo. Could you tell the folks how you're doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just here vibing.
That is phenomenal to hear. Kyo, I just have to say that I have been a huge fan of you for a number of years now. I saw you back in what I believe was 2021, back at what we have affectionately dubbed, well, we haven't dubbed, it was just called... Here I am. I started an interview show, and now I feel this great sense of self-importance. So I need to use big words when small words will do. But, Lil Kyo, I saw you at the Birdhouse many years ago, and I had this perception of you that once I researched into you, I realized was completely wrong. So, first, I thought you had been an established person in the scene. But, according to you, your first release was that year.
Yeah, 2021.
So you have only been making music now for, if my math is correct, 2 years.
Yeah, 2.
And you have, I would say, 4 released albums.
Yeah.
And then with this recent release, that brings us up to 5.
Yeah.
Which we will get into a little bit. Big ups to you on this recent release. It's phenomenal, and I also, selfishly, appreciate you putting out some clean music so that we could have you on this wonderful radio show. We're going to get to that music in a second. But yeah, I thought you were an established presence in the scene, but no, you had just come out with music.
Yep.
And little did we know you would come out with such a wide and deep discography. And I just respect wholly the variety, because that's one thing that I am truly obsessed with, is not necessarily the people, though I love your music very much, the people who stick to one lane and do that incredibly well. The people who can do a million things incredibly well, as you will see hopefully you will see over the course of this show.
Don't count on it though. I'm just playing.
Those are the folks that I am absolutely obsessed with. So we're going to get into the music here real quick. We're going to start out with your older stuff. This is off of your first album, Slump.
Yeah.
And then we'll mix in some stuff from your newest release. Yeah. And hopefully we'll just take it from there. So I hope you folks enjoy this journey that we're going to be on. So just sit real tight. And hopefully I'll press the button correctly, or Spotify will load. All right. As always on this radio show, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to chat for a second. So, oh, here we go. Okay.
All right. Yeah. This is love. This is love. This is love. This is love. This is love, this is love. This is love, this is love, this is love. City that nobody loves. Systems and systematic, we're dealing with gangs and drugs. Crooked sidelines, drinking the buzz. Power hungry, girl, hug for the selfish and wealthy. Transcendental meditations for my huskies, blickies and junkies. My mom died, guess the spirit empty. Hot tops controlling the city, now let it cool down. I'm not the new sound. I've been living in the future and it's deja vu now. Paranoid, panoramic. But these days are gone. These days are gone. Yeah, these days are gone. These days are gone. Yeah, these days are gone. These days are gone. Yeah. And I am real quickly circumventing
7 seconds of on-air silence.
This is a
My
journey
apologies.
into sound.
Yeah,
Every time I come in the kitchen, you in the kitchen.
yeah, yeah.
Smokey, what the hell you doing back here?
I said the boy is back. 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 No, the boy is back. I said the boy is back. I said the boy is back. The boy is back. Back to the old school. Sometimes feel I don't know you. Was instead of control you. Be like yourself like an O2. Back when you was a lovable kid. Back when you used to have fun with it. Back when you used to backpack with a dad hat tab blacks and run with a click. Now you always frowning. Like you don't only wanna love with it. So what dog, you the one for the so what dog, I double the shit. So what man, you in front of the team. Honestly, that's nothing to me. Honestly, dog, I'm running this thing.
But am I really running it though?
Honestly, I'm half of the scene. You don't notice. Back with Kanye, sampling Marvin Gaye, flipping notice. I was writing rap words when mom passed away, passed it down to me. Why would I want more? Maybe a few million to feed my people while I'm on tour. Maybe a few million to pay back what it took and all for. I said the boy is back. 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 The boy is back. I said the boy is back. I said the boy is back. The boy is back. I feel like Goku. I feel like Goku. In the kitchen whipping soul food. Lil, I don't know you. Lil, I feel like Goku. I feel like Goku. In the kitchen whipping up some soul food. Lil, I don't know you. Yeah, I know you. Spending some rest and killing it. Counting my comments and distance. Taking long, I'm a selly, huh? Blowing up, really Uber then. I put a carrot on risk in. Back to ride on my wristband. Give me the money and man. I got a whole lot of bins in it. Goku. I feel like Goku. Steady in the kitchen whipping soul food. Lil, don't know you. Lil, don't know you. And yeah, feeling like Pan. Yeah, Goku tells my super on Japan. All of my fly to Japan. Puffin' on niggas, got smoke in the van. I really smell by your second hand. Heard of my bro, my 10. iPhone boy, baby, feeling like Android. 17, been on the blocks like 17. Big body with a 17. Slamming legging like I'm Lebanese. White girls, police. Big fit like me. Only ain't too heavily. I'm too heavily. I feel like Goku. In the kitchen whipping soul food. No, I don't know you. No, I feel like Goku. I feel like Goku. In the kitchen whipping up some soul food. No, I don't know you. No, I don't know you. Ready to get honey, honey, huh? Get squeezy like a motherfucker. Ready to get honey, honey, huh? I get sleazy like a motherfucker. Ready to get honey, honey, huh? I get sleazy like a motherfucker. Ready to get honey, honey, huh? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, and we are back in studio with Kyo, and what you folks just heard was Love off of Slump. his first album. Followed by that, it was I'm Back, off of his most recent release, and then Goku, again a clean version off of that most recent release. Goku was a single you released earlier this year, correct?
I released it last year, actually.
Okay.
Back in 2022, and then I was like, you know what, this is too good to just leave it out of a project, so I dropped it this year again. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So we played a little bit of that first album, Slump. Can you tell me what your headspace was releasing this first album? A first album is an incredibly vulnerable thing to do, right?
Yeah.
You hadn't made music prior to that, or released music prior to that, sorry.
Yeah.
So just tell me what made you pull the trigger and put it out there for the world.
I was just like, I was working back in 2020 on San Bernardino, which was technically not an album, more of a mixtape. Shout out Spieg for producing that.
Very talented,
yeah.
Spieg. Got to work with him on one show a little while ago. I believe it was called The Producer Show. We called it. I really want to build more of that culture in the local DIY scene, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Shout out, Spieg. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. But yeah, I was just like, I got some good reception on that, and I was like, you know what, I want to try my hand at producing and doing everything myself. So I went down, I sat with a couple of my friends, Always Been P, sat down with Spieg and me, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna make Slump. I did it, and I was like very anxious on how it was going to turn out. I dropped it, and still to this day, people hit me up on my phone, and they're like, "Yo, like, I love your newer stuff, but to me, Slump is like my heart." So it means a lot.
There's a grittiness and a realness to those early releases. The sword has not been refined, so you are getting fully what is that artist, in those first couple of releases. Speaking to the essence of who you are as an artist, what are your influences? Can I just say, off the top of my head, I heard Kendrick, I heard Kanye, and one person who, and this is a huge compliment for me because this was one of my hip hop references growing up. This was sort of like what I built my understanding of hip hop around was Coolio.
Oh, he's a good rapper. I mean, he's a great rapper. So
on top of that, what struck me was your approach to storytelling is similar to Coolio's. You would have in a lot of your songs there are set pieces. You're hearing a television. You're hearing one person yell at another person. Usually an expletive that I couldn't play on the radio show. Otherwise, I would have pulled one of those samples. But you have this approach to storytelling that I don't hear in a lot of hip hop in the local scene that ties a album together. Some of my favorite examples were Eminem. Eminem would have these breaks in an album where you would hear him call his manager and he would be all upset and he would threaten his manager and that sort of thing, and it was very funny, and there's a seriousness people approach themselves with. Can you talk to me about how you try to tell a story through an album, through your samples, through your references, through those devices that take you out of the medium of listening to music and more so your storytelling parts of your brain?
I got you. So when I'm not too good at making singles, but I think I'm really good at making like compilations or albums, and I like to record everything. I'll be walking down the street, I'll record a siren, or I'll record I'll take snaps of like what's going on around me, and I'll take that and I'll put it into the music, because I think what people fail to realize sometimes is that music is a connective piece. It connects us all, and what better way to do that than to make something that is like cinematic, something that you can dive in. When you read a book and a book is a really good book, you can imagine yourself in that book, you know? And I think sometimes we just forget about that piece, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Totally. And I think that sets a lot of artists apart is when they recognize that element of storytelling that draws you into an entire album. Especially, I think, on this smaller scene, people are particularly focused on the single. When I think the single is a really powerful tool nowadays. It's the most TikTokable.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most easy to push that sort of shorter form content out. But I think on the smaller scene, if you are pushing to gain the respect of your peers and build a scene that way, I think the album, especially the contiguous album where you're taken on a journey, is your most powerful tool.
I think that singles, like you said, are a powerful tool, and they can be used to kind of like introduce people to your stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that when you make an album, it doesn't necessarily matter too much about how groovy the song is or how fun the song is. Sometimes it's about fitting the pieces to the puzzle. You know, everything's got to fit together right.
Totally. And to that end, and to the inspirations, I believe I could say MF Doom.
MF Doom, yeah, for real.
That's got to be a big inspiration, especially because of the character surrounding your personage, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain to me a little bit about creating a character to perform through, and the many aspects that adds to live performances, the greater surrounding of your output as a musician? Speak on that.
I definitely take a lot of inspiration from MF Doom. I remember seeing him for the first time. I was listening to his beat tapes, and I was like, yo, these are dope. So I actually went back and researched them, but I couldn't find too much information about him. But I really loved that he had the mask, and I was like, you know what? I think I can take that and modify it a little bit and be able to not necessarily play a superficial character, but just another aspect of myself. I can be able to separate the person that I am at home when I'm just chilling by myself to, you know, when I put on the mask, it's like I'm Spider-Man. I'm out there and I'm energized. I'm ready to perform. I'm ready to really, it's almost like a catalyst. The mask is a catalyst to like that new assertive, powerful character.
This is one thing I would like to understand. One thing I would like to assert to you, and take this in and then give me pushback on this, because I think it will further my understanding, is I love when people take on personas, take on characters. I think there's a number of performers I see who you talk to them and they're very shy individuals, and then you see them perform and they are just a total 180 transformation of who they are as a person. And it's incredible. It's a beautiful thing to see. I don't understand why more people don't have a more holistic approach to creating a stage persona. Make a Twitter for the stage persona. Call out people as the persona, and I understand that then bleeds into what exists in the real world, especially in rap and hip hop. That can get dangerous. You know, Tupac is one person that comes to mind. Is if you sort of read his like personal writings, he's just this incredibly well-educated dude who was read and had these incredible,
very articulate
opinions, wrote poetry, and then you obviously the stage persona of a hard LA gangster, you know, and that can obviously get a person in trouble. So can you and another local artist that I would like to speak on who I think does this and does it in a way that I respect. I don't know how well it's played to their career, but they've played some pretty big shows recently. Is Camtron. You're making a face, which makes me think that you haven't heard of Camtron.
I haven't.
Camtron's great. They're a local musician who I would love to have on this show. I sincerely doubt they're listening, but if you are, please. And what they do is, have you ever heard Deltron 5000?
I have, though.
Yes.
Okay.
So, very similar shtick. He raps as though he is this character from the future who is a cyborg, an alien. Who knows? Who knows what Camtron is? He has a comic book, which that is some merch that I've never seen at a local show before. You know, I actually, now that I'm saying it, I don't think I've seen any performer have a comic book with their.
That's wild.
Yeah, and again, that's my obsession with people who are just all-encompassing entertainers. You know, not just musicians or musicians who stay in one lane. Another thing I wanted to touch before we get back to the music and before we get to that encompassing aspect of your musical career.
Yeah.
What inspired you to do a clean version of this album?
So I actually, I was my last album before Lil Kyo, I had made Fen, and I had sent it to my grandma, and obviously like it was like super explicit in certain songs, and my grandma was like, you know, like, this is really good music, this is great, but you need to stop cursing, I can't listen to it. So I was like, man, I gotta make a clean version for her. And then I was like, well, I'm making songs for kids, like Goku, that's a really good pop song, like kids can rock to that, like I can't have them listening to dirty words. So I was like, you know what, let me make something that's nice on the ears.
That's awesome. And I think similar to Camtron, I would, in my theoretical reality where Aiden gets whatever he wants, I would love a concept album from you. That is something that would be fantastic. Whatever it is, you know, just taking a cohesive story from beginning to end and exploring an idea through an album. I mean,
Well, to be honest, Fen was a concept album to a degree.
Wow, how incredibly relevant that you bring that up right now as I'm about to play. If you could pronounce it, I believe I will mispronounce it.
Which one on?
I would call it Finn. It sounded like you said Fen.
Oh, no. Fen. Like Fen. The end. Fen.
My apologies. Folks, these are some songs off of Finn, followed by some more music on the newest release, and we will get back to you. Again, I'm in the studio with Lil Kyo. Thank you so much for listening.
High.
congratulations. A shot for my soul that eats the pain and anguish. I know I'm not the best, but I'm proud of you always. Even though I don't pick up, it's seldom you call me. And I hope you find peace, cause you a blessed woman. Things happen for started from small performances in the 5 though. And the month might be hitting up by Dubai though. Late night dinners for myself and I feel myself age, but I'm taking my time. New love and good vibes, they swallow my pride. Give the catalyst of most things, but I'm settled with mine. West side girl, it's a west side girl. East side boy is an east side boy. West side girl is a west side girl. West side girl, it's a west side girl. East side boy is an east side boy. West side girl is a west side girl. Yeah. Dad had Tommy Hill that I got from Zane. Nike blazers with a fit with padded pants. Started recording, best believe that. Though I'm not the best at being the one you love, I'm tryna hold my own with niggas. Brunch in Bristol, London with Lord giving me luck. Hope that my dreams come true into the sun. Premonitions from my mother is saying it's almost done, but I'm proud of myself, 2 albums in 21. Father, please forgive me my past and still undone, but I'm finishing my book, I hope you can read the lines. West side girl is a west side girl. East side boy is an east side boy. West side girl is a west side girl. West side girl is a west side girl. East side boy is an east side boy. West side girl is a west side girl.
Hang on. Yes, Bert.
You know you're talking to a banana.
No, Bert, actually, I'm talking to Gladys on a banana. Could you excuse me? I'm back, Gladys.
Gladys?
Why these niggas talking like they better than me? Yeah, chains around my neck, hanging down to my feet. Big Elmer with the but no, we packing the heat. Yeah, pull up with a bibber like it's Sesame Street. Oh no, I gotta go, smoke. I let it blow, ready for the show. Better my toe, ain't that he woke? He doing them all, Why these dudes try to call me out? In the gym, they're trying to run him out. I don't play the thing Cardi now. I'm just having fun, what's this all about? Hit another way. Did it just for kicks. Spin a couple on the fit. I spin it a bummer. Do it all the summer. Green got me from a Peter Parker on my wrist. Do it all again. Spin a bummer. Do it all the summer. Pulling them 40, I'm sipping a 40. Giving me one hit in the morning. Me well, be corny. Me well, you annoying. Feel like Rick and Morty with the Sterling on my wrist. It's really Jerry trying to pull up to the crib. Make it wallet up. Flip my bum and wrist, man, I'm snottied up. I never miss, I swear to Valley, Summer numbers hit the board. Round it up, catch your body, catch your body, hit another way. Did it just for kicks. Spin a couple on the fit. I spin a bummer. Do it all the summer. Green gobbly from a beach. Peter Parker on my wrist. Do it all again. Spin a bummer. Do it all the summer.
You'd like to speak to Bert? Sure.
No.
Hang on. She'd like to speak to you, Bert.
I don't do this, Ernie.
Come on, Bert, talk to Gladys.
No, I don't want to pretend to talk to an elephant on a banana.
Bert, she's very sensitive, and besides, it's fun. Come on, Bert.
I'm just not emotionally secure enough to do this, Ernie.
Oh, no, sure you are, Bert. Sure you are. You just talk to her, Bert.
I
Just
don't know what
talk
to say.
her. Well, you could just pretend, Bert. I mean, we're just pretending after all. Come on, give it a try, Bert. Come on.
All right, and we are back in studio with Lil Kyo. I'm having a phenomenal conversation, and we are digging into the depths of your process, your approach to storytelling, and one thing that jumped out at me is your references.
Yeah.
You make a lot of references to things that only make sense to Cap region locals, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs of yours that I couldn't play on the show was Chicken Joe Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shout out Chicken Joe's.
Shout out Chicken Joe's.
I still have indigestion from you on Saturday. Yeah. So Chicken Joe's is incredible.
Yeah.
It's a weekly occurrence that I go there. But so you make these references to local things,
Yeah.
and like references to existing media in television
Yeah.
or such, it can sort of date a piece of media when you make references that a person listening might not understand.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you release songs like Sesame Street, Goku,
Bert and Ernie.
yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah, stuff like that that are just universal references that everyone will get. Can you tell me how you use those references and the scopes to look at certain demographics, speak to a certain listener, that type of thing?
Like, I think when I make music, I definitely want people in my town, in the 5, in our town, to be like, I live here, I work here, I live here, I love it here, you know. So I want them to know that I'm part of them, you know. So that's why I say stuff like Chicken Joe's, or oh, I'm up on 2nd Ave, you know, stuff like that. So people are like, oh, like, you know, what are you talking about? Like on one of my first projects, on Sam Byrne, this guy had hit me up. He didn't even know me. He had listened to some of the songs, and he was like, "You from here, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I can tell you name dropping streets, you name dropping places, stuff that only happens in the 5." And I was like, "That's dope." But I think for the newest album, I definitely wanted to make something that was a little bit more contemporary. So I expanded the references more, so people can be able to connect with it more. More people can understand what's going on, what I'm trying to say.
I just want to say thank you so much for expanding my vocabulary today. I will now be referring to the capital region as the 5, and I think I will have gone up roughly 10 cool points because of it. Thank you very much. So the next thing I want to talk about with your broad range of references that you make is the unbelievably broad range of music that you make.
Yeah.
So I knew you initially as a SoundCloud rapper, was sort of my initial perception of you, even though I saw the show and I thought it was incredible. My perception of you was, I had a very narrow perception of you. And then come to find you have a collaboration with Polyphonic Exophilia.
Yeah.
Which just, as I was sort of studying up for this show, just came out of absolutely left field. Can you tell me how this collaboration came together, and where does this come from? Where does jazz come from in your repertoire? You know, like in your inspirations, what made you want to do specifically this?
Well, I've always been a big fan of jazz. I used to listen to a lot of Bill Evans, you know. So it's kind of in my heart and in my soul. And, you know, they had contacted me and were like, hey, like, we love your music. We'd love to work with you with an album. Where are you stationed? I'm like, hey, let's do it. I was working on Finn. So fun fact, a lot of the stuff, pretty much all the stuff for that album I worked with them, is all stuff that did not make Finn.
Yeah.
It's all stuff I stripped the vocals, cleaned them up a little bit, and I sent them to them, and they took my drafts and they recreated these crazy jazz, funk, R&B things around them, these beats, and it just worked really well. So
I have to say, folks really should listen to it, and we're going to listen to that collab in a second. I'm sorry to break the flow of the interview, but I made a mistake, and I didn't read off what we had listened to when we came back. So that first song was Mel's interlude off of Finn, followed by West Side off of Finn again, and then Sesame Street off of Gokyo. And I didn't realize this. Very foolishly. Can you talk to me about the name of your latest release?
Okay, so Gokyo is Japanese. Go means 5 in Japanese, and Kyo can mean like a city or a capital. And I just wanted to pay reference to the 5. So it's like the town of the 5 town. It's also my 5th project. So it'll be Gokyo. It's the 5th of Kyo. And then also when I had created this album, I wanted it to be very confident and very strong, so I made it as in go Kyo, like you can do it, go Kyo, as like encouragement.
I do have to say that was painfully obvious once you pointed it out to me. It's so funny how much research I do in this show, and just stuff that is so obvious, like go Kyo, just totally misses my periphery. But on that note of the name of the album, I've talked myself into a circle and I forgot what I was going to say next. My goodness. What? I mean, I know that this show does lose listenership based off of the ambient listenership that WCDB gets, but I really understand it sometimes. So, shy of me remembering what I was going to say. Sorry. Speak to your... Do you have any formal musical education? Do you play instruments? Do you just this the study of jazz really sort of throws me for a loop in terms of my perception of you as an artist?
I have no formal training. I picked up beat making in late 2020. I think actually early. I think it was like January or something like that. And I learned how to mix about last year, and I've just been going with it. So no formal training. I got a couple pianos in my house that I just like start playing. Same thing with drums. I play a little bit of drums. I just picked it up, so it was just like, hey, let's see. I play well enough, but I'm not a master, but I can get the job done.
It's one of those things. It blows my mind how many incredibly talented people and the breadth of music theory, the things that sort of describe what sounds good to a human ear. Last week on the show, I had Shea Paradise of A Judgmental Swarm of Bees, which is sort of a singer-songwriter type project. Very different beat than what you got going on. Yeah. But both of you alike have come together with very little formal education on music, and you've figured out this system and made incredible work. I just find that very interesting.
I mean, if you could get the equipment, if you could do these things, I think it's a experience to have. I got a mic and a computer, and I was like, hey, let's see if I could do this in my bedroom, and it sounds great. That's
just the act of creation. It really blows your mind what you can do once you put your mind and your body and all of your energy into it. Speaking of that, we are going to play your collab with Polyphonic, Exophilia. So a break in the hip hop and R&B into a little bit of jazz, folks. That's right. Hope I'm not stepping on any toes.
Saturdays, and I can let you love, and I can let you love. don't know how to date. It's on you. It's on you.
Running up, starting up a fake shit with a bottle full of fifth, yeah. Act like that is shit while they singing to him, yeah. One girl swim, sure, try to feel it's like a sister. Back in 2005, but I no one loved me. Dug for myself from the moment I was searching. I was drinking heavy on the porch, morphine. I lost my fam, mama left when I was 13. Never let the pain, don't forget me now. Make a shame all up the dome like a salmon now. I don't care if it's all for nothing. Another flight to NC, man, my heart finally lost it. I buried mama, grandmama, we dead on coffin. I had to hold it down, one green to exhaustion. Never let the pain, don't forget me now. Make a shame all off the dome like a salmon now. Never let the pain, don't forget me now. Yeah, make a shame all off the dome like a salmon now.
All right, and I'm back in the studio with Lil Kyo, and we're coming to the end of the show. I've had such a phenomenal time speaking with you. Real quick, you folks just heard Jazz Me Away by my dear friend Lil Kyo and Polyphonic Exophilia, and then you heard Pain 2005 by yours truly, Lil Kyo. So we're coming up to the end of the interview. We have a event we want to shout out. It's called Last Summer Nights. This is going to be at the Troy Speakeasy, and it's going to be featuring some friends of ours. Just looking at the poster right here, we got 30 Second Men. Oh my, I think we were just talking about them.
Yeah.
Then Tweak as well. Other than that, I don't think I recognize too many people.
A couple people here I recognize. We got JT, we got Downtown, and we got Kizoto. Also dear friends of mine who are amazing artists. So
very cool, very cool. Can we talk about the local hip hop scene? What I feel as though it is lacking, and there's a huge disparity between the DIY alternative rock scene and the DIY hip hop scene. And it's they just run off of a completely different model. And there are a few folks that do this, but largely musicians are charged to play on shows, that's totally unheard of in the DIY alt rock space. I'm not completely opposed to that as a concept, because it's really expensive doing things at an above board show. I'm an event organizer, and the cheapest places in town are $350, $400 for an evening, and it's truly crazy in a world in which we claim that we want artists to thrive. You know, so I just have to wonder, what can we do to the local hip hop scene to maybe to invigorate it, to draw in broader audiences, to get more eyes looking at local hip hop and R&B as a live performance medium?
I think that the hip hop scene is a little, especially in the 5, is a little segregated. I think that even though everybody knows everybody, there tends to be like certain divisions. It can be based on just subgenres, or it can be based on, just who you're connected with. I think if everybody kind of like got together a little bit and were able to like, I think compromise, I think we can better the scene, because I really love the rap scene around here, but sometimes I just want it to do better because I know it can.
Totally, and I think I'm in total agreement with you there. And if folks have ideas, I'm all ears. I want to see these incredibly talented people that I see get better opportunities, get in front of more eyeballs, and everyone can have more fun.
Yeah.
Everyone can have fun in sort of a safer environment if we sort of work out these sort of finer details. Anyway, so we're coming up. We're going to finish off the show with some stuff off of Lana, and we
play Summer Camp?
We can totally play Summer Camp. I was thinking about finishing off the show with Danger. What do we think about, instead of Danger, Summer Camp?
Yeah.
All right, that sounds phenomenal. Folks, we're closing out the show. We're going to play you off with some music by Lil Kyo. We're going to play Breakfast in Calabasas, followed by Summer Camp. And I hope you folks have had an incredible Labor Day and enjoyed listening. Any closing remarks, Mr. Kyo?
Mr. Kyo. Just want to say thank you for inviting me here to this space and allowing me to be here. It's an honor, man.
And again, thank you so much for coming on. You folks have a wonderful evening. We'll hear from you hopefully next week at the radio show Beyond Time and Space.
What up, nephew? Wanted to give you a shout, tell you I love you. It's been a minute since we spoke. I hope all is well. I know you're doing your thing with the music. Keep pushing, chase your dreams. If you don't chase your dreams, what can you chase? nothing. Life is a vapor, real quick. So keep pushing. I love you. Give me a shout sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look. Bread word to bounty. Nicotine on my fingers. Breakfast salary. Smoking on my gallery. Gold to Albany. This city ain't proud of me, just my ways. Trapped on a treadmill, I'm setting to stay in place. Disconsolient and moody, it reeks in my house. Devils on my ottoman, so I sleep on the couch. Townsman's in the crib to try and keep me from rust. Family portrait, as I look to that ain't even blood. Let me reconsider my skills of a niggas I fit with. The feeling different, at least for the minute. If my mood switches, I'm sorry you get it. A cause of hopeless, my heart's been enigma, a stigma, not a puzzle upon them, and I'm color coded.
Yeah, I'm not hard to figure out. All my emotions are really hand-me-downs, linking to the thoughts that I felt in this realm. Celebrate my feel of hate that I have for myself. Choke myself to sleep when my mom thought I was hurting. Funny how the well that ripples disturbs the surface. Another day gone, the earth evolves, my spirit evolves. A splint in my heart with women try and deal with the loss of feeling caught up Mussolini. Sometimes I look in the mirror, but I don't even see me. To the guys, I'm the one, but to me, don't wanna be me. Came a long way from bumping childish Gambino's camp with a beanie. This is summer camp.